I'm always kind. All right, so we are live. Good evening, good afternoon, and good day, guys. Welcome to the Godox Facebook Live. Today, we are very happy to introduce Jodie Andrews to share with us some of her tips on newborn as well as the family photography. Yay! I'm excited. We don't know each other well, except that she took the photos for my family almost every year, and she took the photos for my firstborn son as well as the second daughter, Adora, which I love and cherish.
So adorable.
It's the highlights. It's the highlight in the house. So I always love her work, and just give you guys a quick introduction. She's the judge of HWPA as well, the judge for AIPP, Australian Institute of Professional Photographers. She is, I think, the one and only 3 times newborn photographers national champion in the row, all the way from 2018, 19, and 20, 17. Right?
17,
17, 18, and 19. I'm sorry. Yeah, but if there's 20, you should be your side anyway. So she is absolutely the Himalaya in the newborn photography. Really, because she's not so comfortable talking about herself, so I will just share with you guys roughly who she is. Without further delay, I will just let her to start share her work and start from there. All right, cool.
All right, so I thought I'd just open with a little bit of information about me. I've been photographing for about 11 years now. I've got 2 studio locations, one on the central coast of New South Wales and the other one is in Killara in Sydney. I primarily shoot newborns and families. I do the occasional wedding, but I'll only take on about 4 weddings a year. I work all week, so I don't particularly like working on weekends, especially when I've got kids. Hi, Krishna. And so I basically, what was I saying? I prefer to work during the week and then have the weekends for my family. Originally, a friend got me into photography and she sort of mentored me, and then I attended lots of workshops wherever I could. Like in person, I found was better than online. And that's how I sort of my career progressed from there.
Yep.
So
we have our first question pops up. Maybe let's just parabolic 90 and octabox 90.
Just the contrast is different for me.
Which one are you using?
So for newborns, I'm using the Octa. Parabolic probably more so for families or maternity, something a bit more that needs a bit more oomph to it. But for newborns, I prefer that really soft sort of delicate light.
Yeah. So long answer short. Basically, parabolic is more contrasty, and octabox is more on the softbox side, which is more deliver softer lights, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, cool.
So now, guys, I'm just to start us out, I'm not very technical, so please forgive me. I haven't had formal training as such, but I have got a lot of experience on the field, but technically they might be directed better towards Aries, but I'll help you out.
You'll be fine.
All right, so we'll start with we're just going to go through some award images. So these are a variety of images that I've created since I started entering competitions. Just to show you a little bit of what you can do with a newborn. A lot of people think you can't do a lot with newborns artistically, but these are some of the images that I've come up with. There's some family images in here as well, and some maternity shots, so we can talk about lighting as well. So this is just a very simple newborn image. There's no props, it's delicate, but it's well lit, and the hands are placed really nicely underneath the cheek. It's just a simple image that is going to be timeless for that family with no other distractions in it. Simple lighting. The light is set off to the side. We'll go through lighting a little bit later on, but sort of off to the at the front of the beanbag, and then feathering across the newborn. Okay. So this is a natural light image. I was actually we were staying in a house, and we later on found out that it was haunted. But this little girl just ran over I was talking to the mother, and the little girl ran over towards the window, and she, I had my camera still on my hip as I was talking to the mum, and I just said, hang on a second. I quickly picked up my camera, changed the settings, and grabbed that shot. And very quickly she sort of moved on. But I just saw that look as she was looking out, and the breath on the window and the reflection in the glass, that I just had to capture it. So I did enter that in a competition. I didn't have a lot of time to adjust my exposure and whatnot, or really think, but I was really happy with how it turned out. But that's a natural light image, but all the other images are all studio lighting. So mostly strobe. Any questions so far?
Yep, there is a question. Can you read the question from Krishna?
How do you... My earphones playing up, Aries. Hang on a second.
Yep, no worries.
How do you wrap a baby very fast, and is it best material for the skin that doesn't hurt the baby? I find stretchy wraps are quite good. Often like a jersey wrap. I'm just thinking about which material. I usually put that on the bottom layer. Something that will stretch like different ways is pretty good. And then,
do you have that somewhere down there? If you can show, him. Yeah. Go for it. Don't worry. Take your time. I can sing a song meanwhile.
I'll just unwrap my doll. All right, let's get this. So something that's, it stretches that way, but it also stretches this way as well. It's got a fair bit in it. So when you go fabric shopping, just go and feel the fabrics and just pull them and feel them yourself. Do they feel rough and coarse? And how do you think that that's going to feel on a baby? That's how you'd sort of determine what you want to do. And then I would put, you could use a wool wrap over the top, like a knitted wrap. Example, this is one that my daughter has knitted. And it's just wool. I might have to take these earphones out, Aries. It keeps playing up.
Sure.
So just a wool wrap, basically. You can put, like, once you've got that base wrap on, which is really, really stretchy, you can put, like, this is a scarf. It doesn't have a lot of stretch in it. There's not much give. It's quite stiff, but it still will photograph nicely. But you just want to have the baby all sort of tucked in place with the stretchy wrap first before you attempt using something like that with not a lot of give to it. Okay.
Babies love stretch wrap because they feel like they've been hugged. So yeah, that's right. How I find out.
Just make sure if you're wrapping that you're not wrapping up around the neck area that's going to like be too tight on the baby and strangle the baby, and you don't want to wrap too tight that the baby can't, like, its chest can't expand and collapse sort of thing. So you want it to be able to breathe really well.
Cool.
Okay, headlines.
All right. So hello, Sammy. There's a Sammy was saying hi. Greeting from Nepal. So Mohammed has a question about the wedding photography with Ad600 Pro. So I guess what would you use, Jodie? Like, do you use Ad600 Pro for wedding? What modifier would you use?
Well, to be honest, I'm really lazy, and when I shoot a wedding, I keep my gear in the car in case I need it, but I'll only pull it out if I need to. Mainly because I'm often shooting by myself, so I don't have an assistant coming with me and lugging. I have taken lighting equipment, and it's bloody hard work. So
yeah, I know.
if I don't have an assistant, having to carry all stands and lighting, and I'm trying to worry about the bride and what's happening. It's not going to happen. If I have an assistant, I may get them to come along, and I probably would use the AD600 Pro because it's got a battery on it. So
yeah, I used to use AD600 Pro to do the wedding, but I pretty much just use a standard reflector because I find to put on the modifiers might be a time consuming. Yeah. Nowadays I just use AD300 Pro because it's more versatile and it's easy. Then I just use the 8065W or 8085W. It's like foldable umbrella sort of style softbox, which is quite versatile. So look into that, mate. Yeah. Here's a question from Rukesh. So how could we pose newborn baby like that way, or wrap the baby so we could shoot? Do you want to address it in later lecture notes? Because I know in the later lecture notes you have lots of case study.
Yeah, we'll go into that. Yeah.
Okay, let's go into that. Let's jump into that.
Okay, so we'll keep going with the award images. Okay, so this is one of my earlier award images. His mum brought Mackenzie in her christening gown, and I wanted to capture like a really old world sort of feeling image, something very vintage to match the gown. So I've the post-production that I've done on this is to match that, and even the oval frame is very vintage sort of style as well. So again, the lights coming from the top and sort of feathering down. I'll show you a diagram for that one when we get back to that.
Since I think since they were asking, what was that, octabox or was that parabolic box?
The octabox, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This one is a one light setup, 45-degree angles, feathered slightly. I like this image because of the connection. Placement of the hand could have been up a little bit higher, and the dad's arm, if it came up here, would have been a little bit nicer. But I love his expression on his face, which is why I selected it. But again, one light and just feathered.
When you were saying feathered, like, by the way, what's the modifier? It's an octabox too, or
octabox,
it's umbrella? Yeah. So it's an octabox. Yeah. When you're saying feathered, like, what do you mean? Are we pointing the softbox direct towards the couple, or?
Never point it directly unless I really need that extra light. I will always just do it slightly sort of angled, so the light's just skimming over the top of them, and it just stops too much spill onto the background as well. So my setups are very, very easy. I don't like to overcomplicate things, so I don't use grids and things like that either.
Cool.
Okay, next one. Okay, this one's twins entwine. Again, octabox. The idea of this one was these twins are forever going to be, their lives are going to be forever entwined. So I wanted to have the ivy wrap from one side all the way through and out to the other. And the way that I had to do that was wrap the ivy around that posing doll that I had before, and then photograph that separately and then wrap it over. So because we don't really want to...
Do you want to enlarge zoom in the photo a bit so we can see a bit more details?
Oh, hang on.
I think you might need to exit the full screen mode. Just go to zoom.
My computer's gonna be...
No, I think it's on the bottom side, right? There is a zoom.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh.
Yeah, so it's coming across and then wrapping around over the babies. So yeah, I just used that doll and I photographed it separately, and then overlaid it in Photoshop.
I just wanted people to see the details because the details is amazing, right? If you could further enlarge a bit for the people who's I'm
on 400%, so it can't go any further.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and I can't go any further. All right. Let's go.
Beautiful details.
Thank you. Get it here. Sorry, guys. Told you not very
No
technical.
worries. That's okay.
All right, there we go. So this is just a simple maternity shot.
Before we jump into that, can I stop you to ask a quickly address a question from Krishna? He's asking another question regarding the diffuser, the diffusion that we discussed earlier.
Yep. So if you're concerned about it, you can use a continuous light, which I'll go through the benefits later on that one. But there's no evidence to say that there's any issues in terms of flash firing at newborns.
So stay tuned, Krishna, because we are going to talk about both flash and continuous lights, right? We're going to discuss the advantage of each, and you can choose whichever one that suits your style or, your kind of clients.
Yeah. Okay. Any other ones?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Let's put it back there. Yep.
Okay, so this is a simple maternity image. The light's actually coming from behind and then across her. She was a little bit shy and sort of nervous, so I didn't want to have the light shining directly on her. I wanted it to be really subtle and, just something a little bit different. Okay. And that was an octa as well. Most of my photos were taken with an octa of the earlier photos. The later ones, there's a couple of parabolic, but I think most of these are octa because I didn't get a parabolic until maybe last year, the year before. So this one is just two princesses, basically. Mum will always be a princess. And the dress I've used the smudge tool in Photoshop just to drag down the dress to make it just a bit more painterly, and then dodge and burn with the shadows and highlights.
Do you sorry, can we just go back to zoom in a bit so we can see a bit more details with mom and daughter one? Yeah, because it's a bit hard to see that.
I'm just going to go back into. It's not that exciting.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying the color palette is beautiful because I was going to ask, did you prepare the gown as well as the backdrop?
Oh, so the
obviously
gown.
Yeah,
the gown is just, it's a tulle skirt and then a wrap, one of the wraps like I showed you before, the stretch wraps just wrapped around. And it's literally just dodging and burning and smudging. That's all it is. Yeah.
Cool.
Next one.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, this one. So with this pose, we normally do, baby sitting on dad's chest. With a young one, this young boy, it's a little bit trickier because he doesn't have the strength to be able to hold that baby for a long period of time. So we had to get him sitting down. But I found that if I put the baby's bottom on his knee and lifted his knee up and put a bit of padding underneath his knee, it sort of made that squishy sort of look and feel, and it made it feel all cozy as well. So thank you. All right, and next one.
Here's a question from My Stang Chuan. He's asking about his
So it depends on the flash that you have. So I would just do one light setup. If you're doing complicated backlighting and things like that, high key shots, then you'll need multiple lights, but you don't need it. Like I'll show you a few different ways later on as well, how to do that.
I think just stay tuned, and because Jodie is going to talk about a bit about the maternity session as well. He's just going to share with his one light setup. You probably can start with one light setup, so you can, because it's your first maternity session, so maybe you can focus more on the communication and evoke the emotions and stuff like those, rather than spend too much time to with two light setup. But as I said, if that's a bigger sort of strobe, you've got, right? If it's a small flash, then you probably want to use all the lights you can get. So it depends.
That's right. So just focus on your posing as well. So you want to make the mum look the best she can possibly look.
So Jodie, here's another question for you. Ad600 Pro, that size light base for Ad600 Pro camera, I'm using 40 to 40 softbox and AKR1 with H20R head. Looking for a correct size octa for Ad600.
Aries, do you know that one?
Like, Krishna, like, it really depends, right? If you're doing studio shots indoors, you can go whatever size you want. You can go for 90 centimeters octa, or you can go to 120 or even 150 centimeters octa. But if you are going to mix with ambient light, it gets trickier. Like with outdoor, if it's full sunny day, I wouldn't advise Ad600 Pro to go with a softbox. But as I said, if it's a studio shot, you can go whatever you like. I strongly advise you before you purchase, just go to the store, try them out, see which one works for you before you make the payments.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So this next image was an earlier award image. The mum came into the studio. So these are all my award images are from actual sessions, clients that come in. The mum had said to me that she wanted to do something with flowers, and so I came up with this image and I sort of wrapped her, so I felt like she's a bit of a bud, a flower bud, and then she's going to bloom, and that's sort of where I was going with that one. From a technical point of view, I don't like this image because the hand is placed too high up. So when you're posing newborns, try and get the hand, so the tops of the fingers is sort of a bit more down here. But it gives you an idea.
Still your baby.
Yes, absolutely. But from a technical point of view, it drives me insane because it's too high up. But again, this is one of the earlier images from my awards, and it's these little things that now that I've got more experience that I can see. So I'm just trying to point them out so that other people start to notice these sort of things.
Oh, you newborn photographer, too harsh on yourself. I was just struck. I've been staring at the photo closely, like zooming for 400 times. Just his hand or her hands looks beautiful and elegant. I just couldn't tell. He looks cute. She looks cute. I'm sorry. I'm just.
I'm just fussy. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the next image. There's no other questions before we move on?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, this is a very special image. When the clients turned up to my studio, I actually didn't know. I knew it was going to be a rainbow session. That's when a baby had passed away, and then another baby comes along. And I knew it was going to be a pretty special session, but I didn't realize how special it was going to be. And it gets me a little bit emotional as I talk about it because it was so beautiful. So I didn't realize that the parents were actually going to bring along baby Travis in the urn at the time. And when we were taking the photos, we gave the urn to his sister Alyssa to hold. And every time in every photo.
Sorry, Jodie, you're going to hit me for this. Can you zoom in so people can see the details?
I am going to hit you for this. But
can you just stay out of the full screen mode? It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
We don't mind you have a thumbnail over there.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go back. So every shot that she was holding him or he was with her, she smiled. Every single shot. It was so strange. And so with that, I got the parents to write a note from Travis to his sister. No matter how far apart we are, I will always be watching over you, and you will always be my little sister, from Travis. And the little message from Alyssa is, I will always smile when I think of you, as no matter how big or tall I get, you will always be my big brother, and I love you.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard session, that one, but it was beautiful at the same time. Okay, let's go here.
So before we continue, let's
Yep.
just address a couple of questions from our audience.
Okay. All right. Now, in terms of maternity and baby photos having a soft painterly feel, it's just personal preference. For my awards, I have a certain style that I edit, and I do make them feel a little bit painterly. But it's just purely preference on what you like and what you want to provide to your clients. So if you like that look and that feel, continue it all the way through your work. Just make sure you're doing a similar sort of style and feel, so that you get that consistency.
And what percentage of photo would you say photoshopped? I was there, because I will answer this question for Jodie, because Jodie took my family session as well as my not my newborn, but my newborn babies.
Yeah.
When my kids were born, it's pretty much straight out of a camera. What you really need is to understand the lights, right? If you want a soft look, you need a soft light. If you want a harsher look, you need a harsher light. If you want to mimic the sun, you probably need a bare bulb or a standard reflector. And then go from the hard side to soft side, there will be beauty dish, which is somewhere between the softbox and the standard reflector, which is softer than standard reflector. Then you will probably have parabolic softbox, which is then softer than beauty dish, but still harsher than softbox. Then you would have softbox, right? In softbox, you have a silver, which is harsher than white interior softbox. With softbox, it's still, you can find something even softer, which is the umbrella, right, Jodie? And I think you were using umbrella to take photos for my baby, right?
Yeah. So in the Sydney
so
studio, I do have an umbrella. Yeah.
So umbrella, if you go for the soft look, I would advise you to buy the umbrella. In Australia, you can get it from KO. It's 1.8 or 1.6 meters. Then with soft light straight out of the camera, then it's pretty much there. So I don't think there's not much Photoshop. Your life is precious. No. Spend time, go kayaking, go paddling, go have fun with your kids or your wife. Don't spend too much time on Photoshop, mate.
I generally spend on my client images, I spend anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes on an image. Most of them 3, because I try and get it right. And that extra time is generally skin retouching, to be honest. I get just about everything right in camera. So
it's almost like you are cooking, right? If you have a good steak, you can, I don't know, you can go for tataki beef, like just eat raw beef, or you can go steak medium or rare. It's almost like whatever you want to do with it. But if you have a bad steak, no matter how you cook it, it's still a bad steak. So that's what I figure.
Yeah.
All right. So here's your answer, Mike. I hope that helps. And here's another question from Gareth Williams.
I don't have an AD400 Pro. I have the 600. Do you know that one, Aries?
I haven't used 84. Yeah, I do have 8400 Pro, but I barely use the modeling light. For last year, I honestly couldn't remember. The last time I was using 8300 Pro modeling lamp. I was using that for 45 minutes. There was no issue. So Gareth, I will, if it is a concern, I will advise you to take it back to your local dealer, whichever you purchase from, and have them to have a look. I don't have that issue, so personally, I wouldn't be able to give you any further advice.
With the AD600 Pro, I would have that on a battery setting, and I could have that on for about 3 hours on the modeling light, and there was no issues. So that helps.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to our talk. Let me just jump into. Great.
Again, this is just a one light setup. I was attracted to this image because of, believe it or not, her foot. It just had that delicate sort of like she's dancing almost with the pram. And now I just wanted to mention about baby safety. So this is actually a composite image, or the parent, I can't actually remember, the parent was there holding the pram, and then we photoshopped her out. But if you put a little child with a pram and a baby in it, she's going to push it. So you don't want to have an accident in the studio. So just keeping an eye on baby safety at all times when you're doing anything with kids as well.
That's how I find when you were doing those newborn photography for my kids, because I realized that it's not only about the lighting, it's almost like a baby whisperer, right? To be able to, lots of safety concern, to be able to tell what the baby is thinking, to be able to tell she's or he's going to, whatever you say, how she or he is going to react in the next seconds, and capture the most, sentimental moments.
Yeah. And not every baby's the same. Sometimes it takes a little bit to sort of read them and understand what's going on with them. Sometimes they've got tummy issues, and you have to sort of work it out and what's going to be better for them. They might prefer a different position or pose. They don't want to be on their stomach, or they don't want to be laying on their back. So it's just playing with those sort of things and reading the situation. A lot of years of experience there.
So what's your trick to be able to get, to tell what the baby is going to, how to get the best out of the baby?
I find that, I don't know if it's a trick, but I find if I remain calm, they remain calm. Like I just don't let myself get too fussed, no matter how bad the session gets. If it's really, really stressful and we've got a really upset baby, I still keep my composure and not stress about it too much. Like, baby's going to cry. That's okay. And if the baby's crying a little bit, I'll generally settle it. But if it's crying a lot, I'm going to hand it back to mum and let mum deal with it, because chances are the mum's stressing out about her baby crying as well. So I'll try and settle it where I can. But if it's a full-on cry, I'll hand it back to mum.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
You have to zoom in this, because this is one of my favorite.
We're getting the Zoom thing worked out. All right. So this image was baby Evelyn. I wanted to create something really special for her session. She was born in the year of the rooster, and she. So I've actually created this scroll. I hand drew the little rooster, and I got her parents to write her name in Chinese, and we photographed it. And all the symbols sort of around the image, obviously the Chinese calendar, and the outside is actually petals from a tree that was across the road. And I went over and stole some off the neighbour's tree, and then turned a bucket upside down and then attached them to the bucket, layering them up from the bottom all the way up, sort of thing, to create that sort of look of height coming up, a bit of dimension to the image. But I just wanted to show, right? Yeah. So I wanted to show, that's her name, her year, like it's like a wheel, when and it's sort of pointing down to the rooster. Next one. Again, simple one light setup.
Can I stop for quickly? Sorry.
Yep.
Question from Don Chuan. Gareth is much appreciated. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions. Here's Don Chuan said he was worried about I think he's talking about posing the baby.
Yeah.
How tight would you usually wrap the babies in clothes?
You should be able to sort of get your fingers down in between the wrap and the baby. Yeah.
If he doesn't, like, let's say this, Don Chuan obviously it's not, well, he hasn't he hasn't taken a thousand newborn session before. Let's say it's a non-newborn photographer, just try to take a photo session for his own kids or friends' kids. What's the safest newborn posing you can go with? Like safest, there's absolutely no safety issue you could go wrong with it.
Okay. Probably get a blanket, place it on the floor, and then place the baby on the blanket on the floor on their back. That would probably be the safest position. And then
on the tummy or on the back?
On their back.
On the back, okay.
On their back, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily put them on their tummy because you're if we're talking about the safest pose, because then we're going to have to. That would be the next step where you have to make sure the baby's head's turned to the side, and then you've got to try and get the right angle. So if it's a very, very basic beginner that had never done anything before, blanket on the floor so it's not going to roll anywhere, because babies do roll, and we just placing the baby on the back and have some nice lighting. It's just something very simple. You could go more lifestyle type. Once you start to get a bit more familiar with newborns, then you start adding the poses in. And start with one pose at a time.
Of course. Do you have some, when you were referring to the baby on its back as a safest pose, do you have one of those similar poses in your lecture notes to show down?
I've got a wrapped one later on, but...
Okay, Dom, stay tuned, and Jodie is going to show you her, the pose she's referring to. So hopefully that will be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you, Jodie.
Okay, so this is basically one light setup. I wanted to create something that purposely did not show the mum's face, because I feel like motherhood can be a little bit the faceless role. Like it doesn't matter to what the child, what the mother looks like. They will always love their mum unconditionally, we hope. And so that was the idea of creating that one, something a little bit different, dark and moody, and probably something that I wouldn't normally do, but it's all about trying new and different things. And the next one. Okay. Okay, so this one was the game of life. Now I will zoom in. So this one was, the baby was actually posed like this. He was holding the dice like that, and he was photographed on a life-size backdrop like that. This is the redo version. I haven't got the original version on here, but the original version was life-size like that. And then with judging it, there was some technical things, so we had to redo it. So had to do it as a composite. But originally, he was photographed holding the dice and everything like that. And the idea was it was the game of life type situation. It's a roll of the dice, and you never know where you're going to end, but all roads lead home. Yeah. Okay.
Get the job, get a career.
That's right. We never know where we're going to go. All right, this one was just two twins laying on their back, cuddling each other. There's a beanbag underneath them to sort of make them curl in towards each other. So this would probably be similar, I suppose, to what the other we were talking about before. It's just that they're on a beanbag.
It kind of reminds me the twins of the Rom.
Yeah.
The wolf babies, and his hands right behind the other baby's back. It's like a wings of angels, cubits. Yeah.
And she's actually blowing kisses to him. So that's what it looks like to me anyway. And so the next shot is actually the same twins.
Yeah.
It's their,
if I may,
feet.
Interrupt for one sec. Here's a question from Mirek. are you working yourself or you have assistants?
I do a little bit of both. So previously I used to have assistants and we were working crazy studio hours, and my mum ended up getting thyroid cancer, and I decided that I needed to slow down a bit in my business, take my reins back a little bit, and cut my hours down and just do things that like just a bit more manageable sort of. So I rechanged all my systems and processes so that I didn't need to have an assistant to handle the admin side. And in the studio itself, I generally work by myself. But if I've got twins, I have one person per baby. I don't do that by myself. There's no way. So it's just you need someone to be there with those babies. I don't have an issue with asking parents to come over and help me. Dads often enjoy the process of being able to come along and help out. So yeah, it's
probably dad was not allowed to have the hands on the babies when we were at home. So
yeah, so they often get a bit of a kick out of it too. So especially when I ask them to do shots that involve composites, they think it's pretty cool to help out like that. And yeah, but I do have an assistant at the moment because I've injured myself. So she's coming in and giving me a hand where I need to. So, all right. Yeah, so this is the twin shot from before. This is just a close-up of their feet. Again, dark and moody, but I enjoyed this one because it's a one light setup as well. The girl's foot is almost cuddling over the boy's foot, and it's just like toe hugging. It's kind of cute. So I haven't actually entered that anywhere. I did do it up to enter, but I didn't enter it. Right. This one is okay. So parents came into a session. They brought along some army gear. I had no idea that they were bringing it along, and I said, "Oh, let's just do this." So I pulled out these props and just styled it and put it together and took a photo of his medals, and I entered it in the New South Wales AIPP Awards. And unfortunately, I didn't look at the rules for taking photos of medals. And apparently you're not allowed to take photos of Army medals without approval from the Army. So I got myself in a little bit of hot water for that one. But it was all good once I got approval from them. I was able to, I modified the medal and rephotographed and what I needed to do and entered it into the awards. I actually can't remember what I got. I originally got gold at state, and then when the whole the medal thing happened, it sort of I can't remember what it got at national. Sorry, it's really bad. Sorry. All right. Next one. All right. This is a composite image. So photographs separately put together. Now I'll zoom in on this one.
Don, if you're listening there, don't do this straight out of a camera, man.
No, it's a composite image. For baby safety, do not pose it on anything hanging. She was on a flat surface. We've etched out all around the background to remove it. And this was all photographed separately. So with this story, the mum actually found out that she had a form of cancer. So we wanted to be able to create something for her. And so I did a dream catcher, what her dreams are for her child. And she wrote down she wanted her to be independent, have lots of laughter, be fearless, love and be loved, and friendship. And so that's the message from the mum to the little girl. So, okay. Now,
something off the topic, just totally. I find, when we were close for a while, you subconsciously just learn from each other. I realized because when I was being with you, I just witnessed all your work. Most of them were, analog color palettes. Then I started to enjoy doing analog color palettes myself. Did you read? If you notice my recent work, with I was doing 80-1200 outdoor sort of calisthenic, the girl with gym. So it's a green outfit matching with a greenery foliage background. I just realized, I quite enjoy the color palettes myself. I must saw this one somewhere. Oh, Jodie does lots of pink.
I do
totally off the topic,
a lot of brown as well. Brown I really love, particularly for award images as well. I don't know. I like the focus, I suppose, to be on the subject and the brown to sort of be in the background. But I do like pink.
I usually just do. I guess it's a cultural thing. I usually just enjoy cyan, sort of Tiffany blue and green.
Yeah.
Brown just makes me hungry. Like, it's just it's chocolate, almond, I don't know, crunchy honey, things like those. It just makes you hungry. Every time you just look at brown, it's just, you want to eat something, or bourbon or whiskey. I don't know.
Each their own areas.
Right. Yeah. Yes, here I said it.
Okay, so I'll go to the next one. I'm going to click on this screen. Okay. All right. So I wanted to show you
Sorry, can you enlarge? Just enlarge slightly. So.
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the original image. I was trying to do a straight out of camera shot, single capture. Because I wanted to prove that a lot in our industry for the awards, a lot of people say there's lots of photoshopping and, you can't have an award image unless you Photoshop lots, and you can't, it's lots of talk about single capture and whatnot. So I decided that I wanted to actually do a single capture image. So I printed out this backdrop and designed it all, posed the baby in the center, and this was the final image. Unfortunately, because I wasn't careful enough, the ladder lined straight up with the M on the meaning down here, which meant that I couldn't use it as single capture. So I ended up having to, because you're not allowed to clone out anything for single capture. So I captured this in multiple exposures so that I could stack layer them. But other than that, that was the only thing that I had to sort of change on it, and I couldn't use it. So I think I entered it without the meaning at the bottom. But the meaning was special to the photo because the mum and dad were actually not together. They'd conceived a child, and then the mum decided that she wanted to have a second child, and she approached the father, and he said that he'd be happy to assist her. So I
have 20 questions here, but I guess I'll ask you afterwards. Yep.
So he was able to. So they're good friends now. So very, very much involved in each other's lives, but not actually officially together. And so the meaning, eternally so for that charm is eternally crisscrossing paths representing the union of cultures, loyalty, and friendships. It's the symbolism of eternal bonds between two people or cultures, and that's the meaning of that actual charm. And of course, the father's Maori. Okay, keep going.
Yep, sure. Looks cool.
All right. We're almost coming up to the technical side.
So, yeah.
All right. So these ones were two twins. One baby, I wanted to show this is their combined weight when they were in mum's tummy, and then their individual weights. And obviously one was heavier than the other. So bit of compositing there to be able to put all that together. And
can we just zoom in a bit so all the nice people can see the details? Because it's a bit hard for them to see the details.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the scales actually say on it Salters, which is the brand, and it says family scale written on the bottom. and that was actually on the scale itself. So,
that's so cool. That's
yeah,
really cool.
So, I'll go to the next one. So these were identical twins. They are actually posed like that in camera. The fabric was wrapped around them, but it wasn't as neat as that. It was just fabric that was wrapped around them. And then in Photoshop, I've neatened it off and rounded it so that it looks like an egg, and then dodged a burn, basically. But otherwise, that's how they were actually posed.
Is that the safe pose you referred earlier to, Dawn? Like about baby on their back?
We're getting there. So that one's not too bad. You could probably it's more on having it on the ground, not having it up high, and then having you could get a beanbag, or you could get towels and put them underneath fabric to sort of make a well for the kids to go into. That would help. Okay.
Oh, my favorite. This one, my favorite. Yeah.
This one is so the mum was actually Australian and the dad was in Nigerian, and so I wanted to create an image that was really wholesome and organic, and this is what I came up with. But I actually did.
How does Australian and Nigerian become wholesome and organic work?
It was all the tonality, his skin tone as well, and the backdrop, and it's just making it all come together. So, but it needed these little pops of color. So I had to go get some like nuts and things like that, and choose different colors to put into the baskets. And I actually photographed this all as one set, and but then I had to put the all the wording on here. So which is photographed, like typed out, photographed, and then overlaid in Photoshop on it. So here on the nutritional information, I'll zoom on that. It's his nutritional information. So his serving per package is 1, because he's a single baby. His weight, the date he was born, and where the ingredients are sourced from. So 50% Nigerian, Australian, 45%, and other 5%. When I originally did this image, I actually did it with the Australian-made swing tag. Again, that's a copyright issue. So thank you to the person who pointed that out, that allowed me to fix that for the national awards. So I designed my own logo because the baby was made in Australia. He was actually conceived in Australia. So that's where that came from. So,
and just out of curiosity, what makes you come up with the idea of flour and coffee and rice? Because
I don't know. I just tried to choose something from all different sort of locations, and I looked at the back of the packaging, and I just tried just wholesome ingredients. I think flour's it's wholesome. Rice, it's wholesome. It's not processed. It's not, So I don't know. I just sort of tried to come up with different things that would go in bags. I don't know. My brain is a bit warped, Aries.
But coffee, rice, flour, everything I love. Everything I love in my diet. So that's why I ask.
Just need chocolate there for you.
Talking about chocolates, I'm hungry now. We were trying to get rid of all the chocolates because Theo absolutely loves chocolate, and he's kind of climbing around searching for chocolates. So because of him, we have to all quit chocolate in our house. So
get him some dark chocolate. He'll quickly change his mind.
No, I just go out, eat chocolate, and come back.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll do the next one. Now, the next image is my favorite image of all time. So it was actually a family tree. And so we captured the little baby in the studio, and then I actually helped the family they already had their family tree written. I knew I wanted to do a family tree, but I didn't know how I was going to do it or how it was going to unfold. And when I was talking to them during the session, they'd said to me that they had their family trees mostly done. So we actually worked together and finished their family tree as far back as we could go. And I photographed these trees, and I wanted to show that the boys' side of the family was larger than the girls' side of the family, hence the blue and the size of the trees. I'm going to zoom in further because I know Aries is going to ask. So each of the names of the family.
For the audience's sake.
How far they date back to on each side, with the roots sort of coming over. So I had to photograph individual plant roots as well on a green screen and then put them in. Then I created these little tags and I stuck them in front of a green screen as well. Like I've just got a reflector which has a green screen thing on it, and then photographed all of those. So I printed them all out, tea stained them, tall around the edges so it was organic sort of looking, and then I attached twine to different sides so that we could make the family tree sort of come together as you go up. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but as the family members, whilst they're still alive, their plaques are still quite clean looking. But as they get older and the family sort of starts to pass on, they've got vines that are starting to grow over their plaques, so showing that they had passed. So it's all these little details that are sort of in there. And then I've got the mum's plaque, which has the twine that runs over to the sons and the dads that comes back around. Yeah. And the tree, the swing is attached to this tree and that tree. It's all those little details. And I just absolutely loved having this come together. It's my favorite image.
Yeah, I think it has beautiful symbolism in it, right? It's not only about the two families. It's almost like about the human evolution, right? The world's becoming one place, and it's almost like a world tree, right?
Yeah.
People become the world villager.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people that have actually asked me to recreate this for them, for their family. So one day I might create a template and do something, but at this point, I don't really have time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some technical stuff. Now I've been waffling on for a little while. All right. So the one thing that all of these award images I wanted to show you was they're all a one light setup, all very they're all standard newborn sessions that I have made them evolve into into award images. So you can do something exciting and interesting using one light. You don't have to overthink it. That's what I'm trying to get at.
What was that implying to me? Like I always use too many lights.
You didn't know how to use it, Aries. I'm
kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, I know how to use them, but I don't like to overcomplicate things. It's newborn photography. It doesn't need to be too exciting.
Yeah, you don't have to use 20 lights for cinematic looks, right? No.
I don't. So, all right. Now, so I basically use the Ad600 Pro and the Godox FV150 Pro. But I don't use this is just a shot that I grabbed. I don't use a honeycomb thingo. So I thought we'd go through and just talk about the difference between strobe and continuous lights. So the advantages of a strobe light is you'll get nice, crisp, clean images, and because you don't need to use as much ISO, all that sort of stuff. The thing that I found is that sometimes the flash can be really daunting for some children. They might be a bit nervous. It's scary for them. They don't know how to respond. Suri keeps coming on. I'm not sure why. So they're just nervous about it. It's something it's quite a big softbox, and this thing's flashing at them, and it can be really daunting. The other thing is it can be really annoying for parents, because often my parents are sitting in the studio for 3 hours and having this flash that's constantly going off. It's not good. I'm also a migraine sufferer, so I prefer not to use it as, if I don't need to. But again, I like really crisp, clean images as well. So it's just personal preference of what you prefer. But if you don't have a continuous light and you want to use a strobe light and you have a child that is really, really nervous, there's a couple of little tricks and things like that you can do. I'm going to play a little video of a little boy called Alex. He was terrified of, this is going back from a couple of years ago, by the way. I just happened to find it on my computer. I thought it was a good example. But he was terrified of the flash, really, really nervous, didn't want to leave his mum. We ended up sticking a phone in the bucket, and so that he could be sitting there with his bucket, and then we played games with him. So this video will show you how that sort of unfolds and what the things that I did with him to try and get him entertained, and then it'll show you the final image that we did. Okay. Is there any questions before we start?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's all good.
Is it playing on?
Yeah. Is there any audio? I can't hear any audio.
Oh, no. There is. It's playing on my side.
Yeah. It's fine because what happened is what happened is the audio is not shared via Chrome unless you share audio.
Oh, okay. So basically, we are laughing lots in the background, and I'll try and talk you through it as we're going through. But we're using the flash to like a game. So as he, we're trying to get him to smile. We're like, so if you smile, the flash will go off, that sort of thing. Mm. So he was attracted to the flash. So, and we're saying if you smile, we'll go again. So, and then we're saying to him, can you touch the bucket? And then we ask him to put his hand on the side of the bucket, and I'm asking his mum to show him how to do that. Okay. And you can see that the phone's just in the top of the bucket, so that eventually he looks at me, and then he'll look at the phone. So then we can then have a photo of him looking at me, and then looking at the baby that's going to be composited into the bucket.
Ah. What are you printing there? Baby shark?
Oh, this is going back a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure. So we're just getting him to interact with that. And then I'm just going to fast forward through. And you can see very quickly he loses interest, and he starts to want to pull away. So now I'm pulling out the big guns, and I take my camera over to him. It was a Canon back then. I'm now a Sony shooter, but I'm getting him to touch the top of the flash. So it's like a game. So.
Oh, magic.
Yeah. So it's like a reward. Like so. And then we continue photographing. So that's pretty much that. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, sure. That definitely makes sense. Can't wait to see the final image.
And this is the final image. There.
So with the second shot, after you shoot the older brother, you just put the newborn in the
Yes.
bucket and pretty much just merge them as panorama in Lightroom, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I
Cool.
don't really use Lightroom, but Photoshop, yeah, I just slice it down and add it in, sort of thing. So I may have even photographed her first, and then photographed him, depending. Like, you've got to decide if the child's really keen and really interested, and you can kind of get them in, get it done, and take that photo. If they're not so keen, get the newborn posed first and get them posed right, and then try and coax them into it. Sometimes you can get the shots done at the same time, but if they're not keen, you use things like putting the phone in the bucket and whatnot.
Sure. Like, just out of curiosity, like, what would happen in real life if you put a newborn in the bucket and ask the older sibling to pose like that? What would really happen? And what's the concern? And what's the safety issue would concern the parents or the photographer who's newly entered the industry?
Yep. Okay. So the concern would be, I would make sure a parent is on this side of the bucket, because if he decided to push that hand and push the bucket, the baby then can topple. If the baby decides to just automatically startle, you want to have a parent there anyway, regardless if the other child's there or not. It's just a safety concern. If you're so many meters back, you're not going to be able to reach the baby if the baby decides to move. So having the parent there for safety, and having the child sort of sitting there, and then it just prevents him giving that really good push and knocking the bucket, or if he decides to get up and give it a push, that's that sort of thing there. So,
like, I wouldn't ask. I would ask my son.
Baby on the head.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the word I would say, because for newborn baby, this area is not totally developed yet. It's like there's no cover. The shell is not hard. Yeah, it's still very soft, so it could damage the brain. On the other hand, with old, boys being boys, you never know what's in their next movement. All of a sudden, my son would attack me, like slap on my face. He doesn't mean to, but it's just his age.
Yeah.
So imagine that would happen to your newborn baby. You will be, devastated.
When clients arrive at the studio, I'm analysing the sibling from the moment they hop out of the car. I'm looking at the way that they engage with me. Are they interested? Are they not? How boisterous are they? Are they gentle? How do they react with the newborn when the mum's feeding? Are they walking over? Are they being soft? So I'm analysing the whole time to see the reactions before I put them in a different situation. Some children, they might be a little bit too young to be able to lay them down on a pose and then have the other one cuddling, like sort of, he laid them on the flocati, and then the other one puts their arm around and cuddling the baby in here. They might move really, really quickly and run away. So especially 2-year-olds, they're a difficult age. So I would rather do a composite shot like this where I know that baby's completely safe. If there any flight risk, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
As the lighting wise, it's just one 8600 Pro with Octabox, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jodie. What's your size? Is it 90 or 120?
120.
120, yep.
Yeah. So continuous lights. Okay, so the advantages are we don't have the flash going off continuously throughout the session. It's less overwhelming for the children. You can see exactly what you're going to get straight up, so you know that your light's in the perfect position. There's no guesswork about it. You know. The disadvantage is you do have a little bit more grain in your images because you've got to bump your ISO a little bit. Even still, I might shoot 2.2 200 ISO. Like, it's not bad, but it is there. And I've also found that parents can because it's continuous light, pull out their iPhones and take photos behind you. Whereas with the strobe, it's a little bit harder for them to get a decent shot. I know it's an iPhone photo, but it's still, you've gone to a lot of effort to create those poses. So you don't want really parents coming over the top and taking photos and then taking your income.
Exactly.
So that's the only thing. So, but I've got signage around my studio, and I've got contracts and things like that they sign, so to prevent that sort of stuff happening. So
here's a question regarding the pillow under the blankets.
Advice and placement. Okay. I use a pretty big bean bag. You can actually see it shoved in that. Oh, got to go that way. Shoved in the background. So there's less risk of them going anywhere. Just trying to think how you're wording your message. You could put on the edge of the beanbag to stop it from rolling out that way. But you're with the newborn the entire time. So making sure that they're back far enough so that they're not right on the edge. And the placement of the pillows, like behind their heads and things like that, depends on the pose. So it's a really tricky question to answer, Gareth. Sorry. As we go through photos, I'll try and point out where the placement of the pillow is. Does that help?
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Here's another question regarding light meter.
Yep. So I kind of know my settings though, because I do the same sort of stuff all the time. But yes, I do have a light meter. So if I want to change or do something different, I will use a light meter to adjust. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Jodie.
Yeah. Okay, light placement. So in this image, we've got newborn. You can see here that it's a feathered softbox, so that the softbox isn't pointing directly. It's not twisted and pointing directly at the subject. It's actually to the side and then coming down. So that light is sort of like coming across the baby this way. Okay. Now there's pillows like under the baby, just sort of under that baby's head there. And the baby is actually quite deep. So its bottom is buried down into that bed. It's, if you have the baby, like if you've got a blanket and the baby's on the top of the bed, it's quite flat, but it makes the whole baby look big and even their lower half. Whereas if they're tilted slightly so that their bottom's down into the bed, it makes their head become more of a prominent feature rather than their bottom. So it's just, it creates a bit more of an appealing sort of image. Oh.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay, so this is just a screen grab from one of my videos that I was doing. And you can see here, so the baby's there. I actually had an assistant over here. You just can't see her in the shot, but she is there. But the softbox is actually just sitting in line. The edge of the softbox is in line with that bucket, and it's just coming across the baby. Okay, so it's not pointing at the baby. It's just feathered across her.
So down here's another tips for the question for the soft and almost soft and pastel look you are hoping for.
Yeah.
Use a feather light rather than point the softbox directly towards the baby.
Yeah, it's just you trying to use the edges of the softbox rather than the center of the softbox. It just so it's baby skins and delicate, and you don't want to add too much contrast. If you like a contrasty sort of look, by all means do what you like, but in terms of the images that I create, that's how I do it for my style.
I think I personally like the contrast look, but I prefer not to have my kids have a looks like one of the X-Men's Iron Man's in the movie poster.
Yeah.
That'll be funny, but yeah.
And so this one, the head is tilted like slightly, like on an angle. It's not straight up and down as well. And I just find that tilt gives a little bit more of an appealing sort of look as well. And I'll show you the final result of that image is there. So once we took the dummy out.
I thought you photoshopped the dummy out.
No.
Was that good Photoshop? No, kidding.
I'm good at Photoshop, but not that good.
Yeah.
All right. So next one. So beanbag poses. This is pretty much how I have my light on all of my beanbag poses. I move the baby to different positions, but I generally keep the light in the same position. So Gareth, I think, was asking that question about the pillows. That's the pillow there. You can sort of see it sitting under there. It's like a crescent sort of shape pillow, so it curves and comes around, and that just gives a bit of lift in the baby's tilt in the baby's head, so she's not laying too flat, and it makes her look a little bit more compact. Okay, and I've got another little video that shows this actually being posed. Again, this is from the same session as before with Alex. This is the little baby, so it's old footage, but it still gives a good example. So I'm going to play.
Yeah, so there's no audio. Do you want me to sing Baby Shark in the background?
Go for it, Aries.
Nah.
So I'm just placing her in the taco pose. Placing her into position. She's got a little bit of padding up and around her head. So once she's sort of settled, then I just do little adjustments. And I'm just touching, I'm moving her by these harder spots in the front of her head and the back of her head, not the soft spots at the top. So I often move by using these two fingers on the side of the head, just sort of to move them where I need to. So I moved my light, but as you saw, I put my hand on the baby just to make sure that she was safe, and when I had to look away, my hand was still on her. And I'm getting a couple of safe shots right now. And then I'm going to move her hand because I'm not happy with the placement of where her hand is. I want to be able to try and see some fingers if I can, rather than having it tucked in and sort of hidden under her neck. So now place her hand in, and then I'm pushing her wrist so that it's in towards her body a little bit more, so her fingers sort of come outwards. Does that make sense?
Oh.
Yeah. And then I transition from the taco pose into the bum up pose. So I've got my back in the photo. So I'm just pulling those legs around, tucking them under, and then curling them back through so that the knee and the elbow are sort of touching each other.
Little baby's doing yoga.
Yeah.
So Gareth and Dawn, so here's your posing tips that you might need for your next shot.
So ideally, I'd like her hand under her chin a little bit more, just to be a bit more pedantic. But I'm lifting her bottom up at the moment, just to get a little bit more height there. And then just moving the head. And that's pretty much it. Is there any questions?
Yeah, here's a question about the light you use and the modifiers for this particular baby shot.
Yeah, so that one would have been the Ad600 Pro. I didn't get the FV 150 until mid last year.
Mhm.
So I was using a flash, and then I'm quite in love with my FV 150. Like I really enjoy the fact of shooting. I've always liked to be a natural light photographer in a sense. But I like the control of using.
Don't say that. That breaks my heart.
No, but I learnt using using strobes. So I wasn't taught natural light. I had to learn natural light. So it was tricky for me. So I kind of had this envy that these people knew how to do natural light, and I didn't know how to do it. I knew how to use it. Like I could pick up a light and move it to where I wanted it to, but I didn't know how to do it outdoor. Like it took me a while to sort of get my head around it.
I think that's just a humble fight, right?
Just pick up the sun and move it to where I want it to.
I think that's just humble fight. That's too much. Satish is asking which softbox is.
So the 120 Octo.
Did you use grades on it or not?
No,
no. Just feel it, right? Just feel it.
Yeah.
So here's your answer, Satish. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the finished?
Oh, I haven't got the finished shot there.
Okay. But
sorry.
similar.
So this one, so the similar shot would be the one before it, which was this one, just here.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Where are we going to? This one. Oh, we'll come back to that. So this one is a composite shot. Now, I want to talk about baby safety on this one. I often see YouTube, Facebook, any social media that where this is not done as a composite, and it frightens me because it should always be done as a composite. I don't care how skilled you are. Babies move very, very quickly, and it only takes one baby to fall or startle and fall. Like just don't do it. And if you're not comfortable doing a composite shot and you don't know how to do it, don't do it. You don't need to do it. I've got a lot of years experience under my belt, so I know and understand how babies work. But if you don't attempt it, wait till you've got more experience. You need an assistant to be able to do this as well. But I will show you how it was done in Photoshop so that you can actually see. So we've got holding onto the baby down the bottom, and then the second shot will be holding the baby at the top, and then put together in Photoshop. So it's the second shot, and then we take photoshopping the hand away.
Here you go.
Yeah. So it's easy to do, doing it safely. Don't try and do it as one shot. It's not worth it. Sorry, rather passionate about baby safety.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely great, right? Think about how the parents will get devastated. And
you'll find whenever I do
it only takes one baby to destroy your business.
Yeah. When I do composite shots like this, I always put a message when I put it on Facebook. I always put a message saying baby safety, this is a composite image, it's two images put together. Like I put an explanation so that if I have any other photographers that are watching my page, they know it's not done as one shot. Any new photographers aren't going to try and do it as one shot, potentially injuring. So it's creating that awareness that and I don't do this for all babies. They have to be particularly sleepy for me to be able to want to attempt to do something like this. So, yeah.
So Kaushik is asking your Instagram name. If you can, could you please just change your name from Jodie to your Instagram handle.
Oh,
If you
okay.
can, that'd be great. Yeah.
Can I do that? I've never used this before. Can you do it, Eric? Oh, okay. Just let me.
Here you go.
It's all right. Do I need the
So,
accent?
no, Koshik, just follow Jodie's Instagram from there at her name, which is Jodie Andrews Photography. Did you spell them right? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 99%
it's fantastic.
accuracy in my typing areas.
Yeah, that's usually my issue, not yours.
Okay, so the next image is a sitter session photo. And the lighting is just one light, 45-degree angle. Like, I don't like to overcomplicate things. I believe this one was the V150 continuous light. Okay. So the next shot that I'm going to show you is actually an award image, and I want to show you it's the same setup as this, but it's creating an award image. Okay. So here we have the same shot, a sitter shot. I've just got this timber thing, which is simulating a tree with some leaves coming out of it. And he happened to be really, really, really cute in his koala outfit. And then I went out the back and I made sure I photographed these trees. These are out the back of my house. So I photographed those and made sure that the light was coming from that same sort of angle. And then I put it together in Photoshop. So this is not the final image. This is part way through, but you can see that the background I've sort of started bringing it in. So I use different layers, like I repeat images, and so like the background image, and I use different filters and stuff like that. It's not filters. It's like soft light and things like that, an overlay in Photoshop to create the different looks that I want to create in the background. So the final image is actually here, is this one. So I've really sort of taken that back. So I just didn't want the background to be too distracting, but I wanted it to be there so that focus then becomes in on the little boy.
To be the brightest sports point in the image.
Yes,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tree log was from one of the trees in the background, and I brought it in and sat him on it.
The koala baby / Tarzan.
Yeah.
Australian Tarzan, yeah.
Okay. Is another example. So pull back from and shows you, this is what I mean by feathering the light. See how it's just sort of coming across. It's not actually pointed at the baby. It's kind of pointed past the baby, and it's just creating a little glow sort of over the top of it. Okay, and another one, 45-degree angle, feathered light. Actually, I think I used the parabolic for this one, and it was the Ad600 as well. Next one. Now this light is coming from behind and coming through. I missed that one. Was there a question there?
No, that's a thanks from Gareth.
Oh, okay.
That's all. It's showing his appreciation.
Oh, thank you. So the next one is, so this is a quick and dirty hack for when you want to do high key images and you can't be bothered setting up a whole heap of lights. You stand them in front of your softbox.
Yeah.
So
Nice and easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah. I told you I don't like to overcomplicate things. I'm rather lazy, and I just, it
serves the purpose. The image is beautiful.
That's right. Does exactly what we want it to do. Now, for those of you who aren't experienced with newborn photography and you want to do something a little bit different, you could do like this. That's exactly the same setup, but just the mum's holding onto the kid and the little girl's standing in front of him. So
gorgeous.
Just try and just simplify things. Now, if we go back to here, if we wanted to do a full image, I'll come back to this. So this image works as well because I've also got a white or a light color wall behind me. So the light is coming through, it's hitting the wall behind me and bouncing back. So it creates its own little fill light without having to use reflectors or anything like that. Again, I don't want to set anything up. If you wanted to do full length versions of that, you could take your softbox off, bare bulb it into a wall.
Shower curtain.
Yeah. Shower curtain. Yeah. Oh yeah. Whatever. Anything. Like white fabric is fine. Plain wall, even a beige wall would probably still come up pretty white. Like you just need a bit of power. Yeah. Just don't have them too close to the backdrop if you're doing anything like that. Have them come closer to you, so that it doesn't eat away all the around their necks and things like that. Like you can still see the shape of her neck sort of in there and under the chin. So
it's not bad. I can enjoy it. You know, the light bleeds into their face and chin.
Yeah, there's a little bit there, and it actually works in her favor because it makes her neck look a little bit smaller. So
exactly,
but it's still there. Like it's so. But if you have them too close to your backdrop, it will like really bleed around them. So just pull them away a little bit, blow out your background, and then have something light behind you so that it bounces back in, creates that fill. Okay, let's get this one. So this is a simple bean bag. You could any kind of bean bag. You could do, let's say, the shot that we were talking about before, baby on its back. You could do this quite easily. Lay out, get a towel, roll it up into a round ring, like a snake. Like roll it into a snake and then make it into a round ring, and then put some black fabric over it. And you could do this on the floor quite easily, and you're getting dad to put his hands around the baby and using his hands to pin the legs in and hide their private parts. So, and then the light is actually coming from this part up here, coming across the baby.
Yep, sure.
Okay, so that's a really simple classic that it's not going to date. It's just what it is. So. Okay, now this next shot.
Sure.
I only got a couple more to go. All right. So I did a video for Godox earlier. Last year now. She's gone very quickly. And I wanted to do the breakdown of how I captured the images for that footage. This is actually a different baby. The baby that we had that day was particularly, it was a very eventful day. It did not want to sleep whatsoever. It knew that we had to get this shot by a certain time. And we had like 5 minutes and we were going to lose the ability to get this shot. We had videographers there. It was make or break it. And we ended up, the posing wasn't perfect, but we demonstrated what we wanted to do. But 2 days later, I had another baby came in and we also did the same setup for their family as well. So I've got these images so that you could actually see what we did. So the first one is the ISO is 100, f2.0, shutter 200, no flash, and it was 11 o'clock. So as you can see, she's in shade, but you can see this hot spot on here and around here. So we just got the dad to hold a reflector or even a jumper or something like that, just where those hot spots were, enough to block them coming through. And then I took a shot with the first shot with the flash added, and then I just kept increasing the power until I got the look that I wanted. And then I did increase the ISO a little bit more, and that's the final image on the right-hand side. So it's just, all it is an AD600 Pro with a yellow filter on it, and it gives you that look that it's the afternoon light.
Great. Jodie, sorry, I think I have to stop you from there because we've already over time. Just before let's call it for the day, can we just quickly answer 2 questions from our user? First is from Dom. He's using 90 to 60 softbox, still get harsh lights. So do you think she needs a larger softbox for his first maternity session?
Maternity session, you can get away with it being quite contrasty. So have you tried adding an extra screen in there?
But I think Don's question is he's not able to feed the lights because it's 90 times 60. Softbox, it's a square softbox. Don, to get the feeder lights, it depends on 2 things. Where the light is positioned. Obviously, you said it's you being feeded the lights. Then it's the modifier. I would advise you to come. I think you're based in Sydney, right? I would advise you to come down to KL and get an umbrella. Give a try of the 1.8 or 1.6 centimeters Godox Professional Range umbrella with a soft interior. Give a try. That will give you softer lights. And So, and also the lights matters in a sense. If you use hot shoe flash, even you have a larger softbox, because hot shoe flash is designed to be directional rather than strobe to be, almost like 180 degree sort of bare bulb. So if you use hot shoe flash, then there's no point. You probably need something like 8200 bare bulb, or 8600, 8300, 8400 bare bulb rather than hot shoe flash. So 2 things you need to look into. What light are you using? Are you using the kind of strobe rather than hot shoe flash? Obviously, try that first. See if that resolves the problem. If it doesn't, then you need to upgrade, or you need to buy another modifiers. So you're using 8300. Don't is using 8300. Go for bare bulb. Remove the standard reflector. If it doesn't solve the lights, you probably need to get a reflective umbrella to get a feeder light. Yep. And there's another question from Mon Jose. Let's answer the question and let's call it for the day. Do you personally wrap the babies for the shoot?
Yes, always. Yeah.
And why? Is like you prefer to do that way? What
I
does it
know
make a difference in long run?
Parents don't know how to wrap. They've been taught how to wrap a baby from a nurse's perspective. They don't know how to wrap from a photographer's perspective. So when I'm wrapping, I'm making sure that the feet are in a better position, like it sort of comes up to around where their belly button is, so that they get that more compact sort of look that's more appealing for the photos, rather than a nurse would just sort of, and tuck it around, and the legs would be sort of fairly loose. Yeah.
All right. So that answers all the questions we have for the day. And thank you, Jodie. I quite enjoyed the session myself. I certainly learned a lot about the baby lighting, but I still going to come down to you for my newborn. If there's any newborn coming on the way, I'm still coming to you. I couldn't do that myself. In case accidents that do happen. Thank you so much for your time, and Jose Ma. Jose is asking, is there any special training for the baby wrapping? I would, maybe follow Jodie Andrews' Instagram,
Have
private
we got
message
time?
her.
I'll just very quickly show.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
All right.
You have like 60 seconds. Yeah.
See, geez, we're
I'm kidding. Take as long as you need.
Don't make me rush. I'm injured. Don't. All right. Hopefully, hang on. I've lost my earpiece. All right, can you still hear me?
Crystal clear.
Crystal here. I'm just going to come back here a little bit. So, we place the baby on our legs. Can you see that? Or is my...
No, your name is blocking the baby.
Okay. All right.
There we go. Yeah.
So, that's better? Yeah. Okay. So, placing the baby.
I'll just remove myself. You lose my voice. I just remove myself so you look larger in the screen. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to do that. Okay. All right. So we're just taking the baby, placing it on our lap. I've got the legs are tucked up to the belly button. We've got our stretch wrap, the shorter side. It's quite a long stretch. Quite a long stretch wrap. We're taking the first side and bringing it across, and then tucking it around the back of the baby. So it sort of looks like that at this point, and the hand is sort of up high. Okay. I'm putting the two hands together. I'm taking this side of the wrap and bring it across the baby's shoulder and then down around its bottom. Around its back. Up around its back. So it's like, sort of like that. And then we're just bringing it, we just keep bringing it around and over. But the important thing is that the fabric's not coming up around the baby's neck. And I'm just crisscrossing it. So it's gone around around the back and then up around this way. And then going across the front, around the back, and then I'm bringing it down. So it's just this crisscross over and under sort of thing. So I'm creating, it's a bit hard with the doll. She's not very, she hasn't got a lot of padding on her. But you can see this pattern start developing, crisscross going down the front. You can also see that she's not blocked at the front with fabric, so she's not got a problem with choking. And the fabric is quite, it's not too tight sort of thing. So there's a bit of a gap in there, but it's firm enough to keep her in place. And that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right. So there's no further question. Thank you so much, Jodie, for your time.
That's okay.
Always love our little chat. And thank you guys. Have a good evening. And see you guys till next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.